This public hearing is on 3 items. Ordinance 559, which amends the zoning code to add the superintendent of the First State National Park or a designee as a non-voting member of the Historic Area Commission. The second one is amends the codes, again, the zoning code, to allow home occupations in the residential R1 district. And the final one, ordinance 561, amends our building code to put it into agreement with the current Newcastle County Code. Is that right, Mr. Day?
To the 2024 ICC
So
code.
update it and bring it into agreement with the standard codes. So, is there anyone present who wishes to comment on any of these 3? The microphone is at the podium. Evening.
No, I thought we only need the microphone.
Well, it helps the recording
Okay.
as well. So,
Absolutely.
and if it's
Okay.
too low, you can take it out of the stand and hold it. If
Yeah,
that's easy.
I will speak as well as I can. My name is David Maskey Senior. Tonight I'm representing the Commissioner of the Delaware State Fire Prevention Commission. Just want to go ahead and speak on behalf of the residential sprinkler portion of ordinance 561. As I've been able to do on a couple different times, latest being the town of Middletown. Fire sprinklers, residential fire sprinklers in short, save lives. That's what they're designed to do. And that's what they have a long history of doing since the early 1980s. NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, has some data out there. And I'm sure Councilman Day has the two for you all to share about there hasn't been a fatal fire, properly installed, maintained, and inspected residential fire sprinkler. And it is a lifesaver. It is designed as a life safety attribute, not a building conservation attribute. Sprinklers are quick response sprinkler heads designed to operate only within the living areas of those buildings. There is no attic sprinklers. In some cases, there's no home made for concealed sprinkler. And it is made to protect the residents of that building, of that dwelling, to make sure that the quick activation, order on the fire, and that firefighters, once they arrive, have full smoke and have a tenable condition to go ahead and extinguish the fire with. They are proven over time, and as you folks, I'm sure Councilman Day has reminded you, it's been municipality over municipality over municipality. It's been Lewis, Newark, Middletown, and a few others up and down the state over the last couple of years that adopted this with great success. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Mayeski Jr., Fire Chief of the Global Fire Company, speaking on behalf of the fire company this evening. Just wanted to say that, in short, the Global Fire Company and our associated partners support Ordinance 561 and keeping the fire sprinkler section of that code in the resolution, moving forward with that as a life safety measure for our town. As you've seen in the past, over the past couple of years, all of our proposed building in an expansion in the city is mostly townhome style or tightly constructed buildings and homes. We want to make sure that we can give residents the most amount of time possible to escape those incidents should they occur. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have to wait till 7 to start the regular meeting because this was advertised as going till 7, so someone else may show up shortly before 7, which need to speak on these ordinances. Let's just look at this.
Yes, so basically. Change your best. It's supposed to. Yeah, and I was just on chicken ass as well.
this last call for public hearing comments on those three ordinances. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone, I'll call this meeting to order. We'll begin as usual by, Ms. Waring, are we ready?
Yes, we're ready.
I'll begin as usual then by rising for the pledge of allegiance. Ms. Rick, would you call the roll, please?
Council President Suzanne Souter.
Here.
Councilperson Joseph Day.
Here.
Councilperson Nerman Zubaka.
Here.
Councilperson Andrew Zelt.
Here.
Councilperson Brian Mataway.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Valerie Leary, City Administrator Antonina Tantillo, City Treasurer James Wisman, Chief of Police Richard McCabe, City Solicitor Michael Hoffman, and City Planner Chris Rogers.
Thank you. We'll begin with the minutes of the December 9th regular council meeting. Are there any comments, corrections, additions to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes as submitted? A second? All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved. There are also minutes of a special meeting on the same evening. Is there a motion to, it was an executive session, so this is just a summary. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Thank you. Mr. Rissman.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to cover the financial statement as of December 31st, 2025, and it hasn't been audited, but it's subject to audit later. And that's 6 months of our year. But here's a couple of things I want to highlight. At the end of December, we have $12,973,183 in the various accounts. Of that, $6,041,966 were in unrestricted funds, and $6,931,217 was in a restricted fund. Now, to highlight, we are midway through the year, and we've collected 49%. I'm sorry, we've collected 81% of our revenues that we're budgeting for the year. So we collected a lot of money in the first few months of the year. So that's going to taper off for the rest of the year because we only have 19% left. Meanwhile, the expenses, we're halfway through the year and we've spent 49% of our budget on the budgeted money. So we're going to have more money being spent over the next 6 months than income coming in, which is a reverse of what happened in the past. So right now, the organization is in good financial position. There's some work being done outside of the right now of getting some of this money invested at a higher interest rate, but that's another issue for another day. If anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer it, perhaps later. I'll do the best I can for now.
Any questions from council for Mr. Rissman?
Not for Mr. Bishop, but well, I mean, it can be brief, but for city administrator as well, on a revenue side and expense side, I have a couple of questions. Do you want me to ask them later or?
Go ahead, Bill.
So first one's gonna be revenue. So Antonina, I already asked offline just a second ago, but for franchise fees, I'm seeing all the other, kind of scheduled payments are coming in and, it seems like we received half of it, but they're at 30% roughly. Is that due to a payment being late or, just less revenue for franchise fees? Or a combination of both?
It just depends on when it comes in the year. Oftentimes, it'll come in at the very end. Part of the payment will come in at the very end of June, which may put it into the July revenue. So it just depends on when.
So the prepayments not for?
I have to check. There's a couple of them. I'll go back to them.
Thank you. I think I have a couple of just, but yeah, for the capital outlay on the public service, I'm seeing handicap curb ramps and capital road repairs at zero expended. But I have seen around the city, handicap curb ramps at a minimum have been fixed. Is it coming out a different line like grants
So
or?
we received, on those years past that was covering that, but we have added, additional, projects that were in the same vicinity, of the products for the bundle, so we will be compliant.
Okay, cool. And then, next page right there, on the report top of the page 5 for fiscal audit, it's about 50% spent. That was just like a first payment then, or did we just get a smaller contract?
Sorry,
Page 5, just next page of the,
yeah.
on the finance.
I don't believe the last, payment has been paid yet. We will not, I don't believe we'll spend the entire amount, but we will be spending it. Based on the extent.
No, you're, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report subject to audit? Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Ms. Winter?
I've already done it. Happy New Year, everyone. I wanted to advise, I don't have any additional updates on the Dobbinsville fishing pier at this time, but we're hoping as they continue through the permit process that they'll be approved and get started on that sometime soon. The Public Works Department has continued tree collection, so please continue to collect the leaves and sweep them up, and then they will come by and take those away. I just wanted to remind everyone that next Monday, the office will be closed for MLK Day. I have a few grant updates. We continue to await the notice of approval for the Homeland Security Grant. And just a reminder for the cybersecurity grant at the last meeting, or prior to the last meeting, we did have an approval for that, and we will get started on that project shortly. The ORPT grant, which I announced that we did receive at the last meeting, has been approved, but we have not received the official notice, so we don't know how much we're gonna get yet, but we're hoping to get that sometime within the month. We have submitted the first of 2 grants for the Federal Historic Preservation Funds for certified local governments, and we were just received notifications today that we have been approved for that grant. Again, I don't have the formal notice, but once I do, I will let you know the amount that we are approved for. And we're going to be pursuing a second grant for the 2026 funding for preservation effort and recognition of America 250. We have also been awarded the Federal Safe Streets for All Planning and Development Grant to develop a safety action plan and demonstration project in the amount of $435,870,000. This project will require a match in the amount of $108,967. I would like to discuss how we can get that match at a future meeting, so I will have that prepared in an upcoming meeting. The project will establish a steering committee to create a safety action plan, to work on a plan to make the city streets safer. And then we'll have a demonstration project on Delaware Street to test various safety features. The dog park, the engineer has finalized the specifications, and we are going to be moving forward with obtaining the quotes, and we should have that information to you by the next meeting. Just to note, the City of Newcastle and the Delaware Historical and Cultural Affairs via the Courthouse Museum were partnered last month to host a food drive to benefit the Food Bank of America. We collected 672 pounds of donations between both locations and along with the police department. So we wanted to thank everyone who participated, and that will certainly make a great impact to the future. That is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Tangelo from council?
Thank you for the update and the presentation. Really good to hear that we were successful with regards to safe streets. I feel like it's really good timing in respect to the city. Last year, there was the walkable community study in the traditional historical core. And coming up this spring, we have this exercise taking place in respect to Dobbinsville. So my hope is that some of those action items can be actioned for both months. Thank you.
Have you heard anything about the trailhead improvements that were slated for Delaware Street?
We have not, that's when Madeline has reached out, but I believe due to federal funding, that project is on hold right now. They have everything pretty much approved. They're just waiting for the final go ahead from the feds. At the county level, though, I believe everything is a go.
Yeah, that's correct, Councilman Baker. We've been working with Marco Boyce, the Public Works Department. The federal government was on hold for a while. Actually, something, a couple years ago. But he seems to say that it's been approved, but they just gotta get the money.
Gotcha.
So hopefully we have an update next month.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we have, also in respect to that project, engaged Councilman Koneko, to make him aware of the need for that, with the hope of, creating some safety aspects to the trail, lighting, et cetera.
Thank you.
Hey, Chief McCabe?
Good evening. Few things to address. First, we had some requests for directed control in the area where the boundary recently for some stop sign violations. So we've been looking pretty quickly. We've already issued a handful of signs. For legitimate observations that were addressed. I do want to point out in the, if you look at the report, there's a one of the incidents listed as a carjacking, just to put everybody at ease that we've actually downgraded to an attempted theft from motor vehicle where several suspects were arrested. I was also asked last month about the increase in noise violations for the overall call for service. So we did look into that. Two things I can tell you is one, the good news is I think we resolved it. So it was more of a neighborhood kind of dispute type of thing. So we think we've given them kind of an avenue to address their frustrations, hopefully back to us. And then the second part was they were neighbors, that was not an increase in any particular overall increase, I should say. I also want to make mention that we have opened up a hiring process. We are down 2 officers, one integrity as well, so we're short of 3. The application process closes on the 15th. So if you happen to know anybody who's interested in becoming a police officer here, we have on our website a link to our landing page with the new application process that we've adopted that the Chiefs Association has funded. And it just says Newcastle City Police Careers at the top of our website, and it takes takes the applicant to the landing page, excuse me, joindelaware.com. At joindelaware.com is following the comment. So it has access to any agencies that have openings, and they can select whichever agency they're interested in. The particular link on our website goes right to our landing page. So there's a QR code associated with that. So we'd be glad to share that if anybody has any interest. So that's where we want to direct any potential candidates. The last thing I want to address is you probably see also in our priority 1 calls a homicide in there. I think we're all aware. Happens to state trooper, promoted at the DMV. Our officers were first really on scene with 1 rendering aid, the other helping to clear the building, and then 2 others helping with some of the aftermath. So as you can imagine, that experience was horrible, and these folks are going to carry what they experienced probably for the rest of their life. So I say that to say that they also recognize that the support they have from residents, from their council, it goes a long way. It goes a very long way, and we appreciate that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions from council for the chief?
Just a quick question regarding the posting. I don't know if we as a city or PD has anything in a budget to promote the post and push it, on social media where people get an advertisement, to click and get to the landing page, Park City. It's something I would look into potentially to, I know that it's been a challenge to get the, candidates in, but there's some targeted stuff that we can maybe look into that we can push it out.
So we have, we think we've secured year 2 for this funding. It's about the first year was a $1 million project, and it includes a significant amount of marketing. So there's a lot, we should be all over social media. And we're.
That for the whole state, right, sorry.
They're, the folks that we're working with, we don't even call them vendors anymore, we call them partners, they're that invested in this. They've created individual campaigns for agencies, so we have our own campaign and our own landing page, so yeah,
That's awesome.
that was definitely part of the project.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Wanted to again highlight and thank you for your leadership as well as your staff, and to highlight the officers who responded to the DMV. And they need to know that they did not fail. They were successful. They got there. They rendered aid. And in respect to the one officer, you know, she was a friendly face that officer the officer saw as his life ended. So she was successful, and she needs to know that. And we as a community need to be outraged just as much as we are when we see things and incidences where we feel like police officers go too far. We need to be outraged with this. And we also need to work with our police advisory board to do things to promote community togetherness. And I also pledge to go down to Dover with you this legislative season to sit in some of those meetings and to advocate for legislation that is needed and that protects officers, that ensures that this is a profession that people want to get into, and also creates an atmosphere for community policing. Thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, that means a lot, and we will absolutely be asking for some help during this next legislative session. Not only just that maybe there's legislation that can make it safer, but legislation that may take tools away from us that we need. And to your point, I'm sure most of the folks in this room know that I penned a response to a pretty ugly post that came from a sitting elected official of the city of Wilmington. That's gone rather viral, but that's the type of messaging that creates the hate. Corporal Scook was targeted. He was ambushed only because he was wearing a uniform for no other reason. And that could have been any one of us. And, you know, the more that we learn about how this happened, that really could have been anywhere and anybody. So we appreciate the support and we look forward to working with you during this next session. Thank you.
Okay, council communications, we'll start with Mr. Mattingly.
Council President, good evening, everyone, and happy New Year. First, I would like to recognize that my reason for absence last month. My wife and I were in the hospital. We had a newborn born December 7th, so that was my reason for not being here. Outside of that, being sick or something like that, the only thing that would keep me away. So I want everyone to know the reason why I was away. DENREC is having a photo contest. I know we have a lot of talented people in our community, a lot of photographers. The photo contest kicks off January 15th and it goes through April 15th. There's 4 categories. People enjoying nature, watersheds, wildlife and aquatic, and hunting and fishing. The first place prize gets a $500 gift card, a park pass, and a couple other goodies. So hopefully we can have some locals that participate in that. As we know that we're very talented in this community. People can get additional information from that on the DENREC website. I'd like to congratulate Mayor Paul Johnson, City Administrator Paul Johnson. He's the Delaware City Mayor and he's also the Town of Clayton Manager after being recently appointed to a leadership position in respect to the Delaware League of Local Governments. I also had opportunity to attend a visual for Corporal Snook in Delaware City. He has family roots to Delaware City, which is our sister city. His grandfather was on the police force down there. It was a very solemn ceremony that was well done. that I had the opportunity to attend. January the 22nd, our friend and county councilman Kuneko will be hosting a town hall at 6:30 at the Port Payne Fire Company. This past Saturday, I had an opportunity to attend a presentation at the courthouse. And there's a bunch of things going on throughout the year where people can find out at history.delaware.gov. My family, like I'm sure a lot of your families, do a lot of traditions. One of the ones that I have is that we have a wall of honor, and we have pictures of my father-in-law, my grandfather, and great-grandfather, who all were served in the military. And as we celebrate America 250, one of the things that I'm going to be doing, and hope the council, this town, can do, is to highlight people in our families and our lives and our community who are veterans, to tell their stories, because they are the reason why we are here today. So that's one of the things I'm going to be doing throughout the year. I'm also going to be working on a salute to service concert, and wanting to put that to fruition to where we can, again, honor America 250, honor the veterans and our families and our community with patriotic songs and things that can bring community together. The last thing, I'll end with this. I've always said that you cannot tell American history without Newcastle, and you cannot tell Delaware history without Newcastle. And last fall, I wrote out to the Delaware Archives and told them that they need to get a state historical marker that they don't have in this city for Emmanuel Church on the Green. And I'm happy to report that I received a letter back saying that they accepted the application, and hopefully this year, looking forward to working with Father Chris, the vestry, city administration, Mayor Leary, council president, everyone, to uplift the great Emmanuel on the Green, their rich history and tradition with the unveiling of a Delaware historical marker. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sabata?
Good evening, everybody. Want to say Happy New Year to everybody. I hope that everybody is using precaution with all the weather, staying safe out there. Happy holidays to everybody. Happy holidays to everybody celebrating New Year's today. I know Orthodox Christians had Christmas just the other day. New Year's, I believe, is tonight. Holiday time reminds me of why my family loved Newcastle, why we love living here. So I wanted to say I'm happy to be everybody's neighbor here. We enjoy the carols. We enjoyed the town being decorated. My kids love this time of the year. It's amazing. Programming is amazing, even though it's cold, but there's a lot to do. I wanted especially to thank everybody for their generosity during holidays, inviting people to your homes, donating goods and your time. So that's all I wanted to share with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Zed?
Good evening, everyone. We had Spirit of Christmas. I would like to thank everyone in the community that pulled together to make this an amazing event. I think we had probably over 3,000 people. If you get the weekly, take a look at it. The finances for that were actually published. So take a look at that, please. A day on Newcastle in May. I'm heading that up. If you're interested in helping out, opening up your home or your gardens, please let me know. And looking for another good event. Going to extend things for a day on Newcastle at the churches and also the cemeteries. Thank you.
And Mr. Day?
Yep, just a couple of things. I did attend the Spirit of Christmas and the tree lighting. I thought it was a very well-run event. It was a lot of people in the city, very nice. I'd particularly like to thank the committee that worked on that, city police and the city public works departments, fire department, and the MSC for their assistance with the lighting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Madam President. Just a congratulations to Brian Mattingly, his wife, and their daughter, from all of us.
Yes, well, to be repetitious, I too congratulate Brian and Jessica on the birth of their daughter Genesis. And I'm sure with a doting father and two big brothers, she won't be a bit spoiled. And I also would like to thank everyone who worked so hard to make Spirit of Christmas 2025 a great event. Brothers have said thousands of people visited our town to enjoy house tours, holiday decorations, children's activities, Santa, music, and great food, culminating in the tree lighting ceremony. And as Mr. Zelt mentioned, the financial details for those who are interested were published in last week's edition of the Weekly. And we look forward to the continued work of the Newcastle Community Partnership to plan for next year, or this year, Spirit of Christmas 2026. Thank you. Ms. Leary.
Well, they've left me they've left me nothing to say about Spirit of Christmas. So, but I was so pleased with the event. I was so pleased with everyone who came out. The excitement on our tree lighting, the concerts that we had there, everything was stupendous. And I thank whoever for the weather that day. That was awesome. That made it great. I really have nothing else to say, but Happy New Year to everyone and congratulations to Councilperson Natalie.
Okay, yes, Chief Myers.
Thank you, Madam President. Happy New Year, everyone. As you can see in your reports, we're still working through some very frustrating technical issues with our new fire reporting software since transitioning to them. So the fire statistical component of that is blank. What I can provide to you though is some gross numbers. For December 2025, the fire company responded to 132 fire rescue type incidents and 181 TMS incidents. On a grand total for the year, that puts us at 1,339 fire rescue incidents and 2,193 incidents for a total of 3,532 incidents for 2025. So we're surely staying busy. In December, we did have the honor and privilege to deliver Santa again to our local communities through various events. To make this possible, 25 members contributed over 240 hours to make these events possible and successful. Also, just some recognition that we provided to some fire company members, I wanted to make the council aware of. This past Saturday, we had a small recognition event, and the following members were recognized. Joe Benucci, local Newcastle homegrown boy, was recognized for 50 years of service to the Global Fire Company. Karen Majewski was recognized for 50 years of service to the Newcastle Ladies Auxiliary. David Majewski Sr. was bestowed the title of Fire Chief Emeritus, the first time that title has been given out in over 32 years of the department, and only the second person to receive it. So we're very proud of that. In addition, President Robinette recognized members for years of service from increments of 5 to 35. They are Nicole McVeigh with 5 years, Michael Rogers with 5 years, Jamie Majewski with 15 years, Terry Geyer with 30 years, and Jay Geyer with 35 years. And finally, unit citations and meritorious service awards were awarded to Captain Shoemaker, firefighter EMT McVeigh, Millman, Slatcher, and Foote for their actions at the scene of an electrocution of a tree trimmer in April of last year. So we were able to recognize all those folks for a job well done, in addition to all of our folks who were just out there every day doing great work. Any questions from council? Councilman Atwood.
Sorry, comment. I would like to recognize, members of the Goodwill Fire Company and members of the City of Newcastle Police Force who were out on guard at the, visual for, Corporal Shook out in Delaware City. So it was nice to see the, reciprocal and mutual aid, in regards to our sister city. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Thank you.
We're gonna change the sequence a little bit. We are gonna advance the, DelDOT presentation next prior to public comments. For two reasons, so that the folks from DelDOT don't have to sit through as much of our meeting unless they really want to. And secondly, that'll give members of the public a chance to respond to what he has to say.
Right.
Yeah, if you could tip the mic or you tip it up or adjust it however works best for you, just so everyone can hear you.
I can do that. Thank you for having me again. This is I think the third or fourth time. This time I think we're getting closer to the project. So my name is John Hermes. I work for Century Engineering. We are the consultant firm hired by DelDOT to provide railroad coordination and railroad management for the state's railroad program. What you see on the screen is the Delaware Street Ferry Cutoff Project. It's been around for several years. What I'd like to do today is kind of go over the phases that DelDOT has broken it into, explain some of the work, talk about where we were, where we are today, highlight some of the big changes, and talk about schedule. To get this project going, one of the things that DelDOT did was break it into three phases. The first phase was completed last year, and that was the school signals. So out in front of the elementary schools, middle school, they had old, outdated overhead wires, and now when you go down there, you'll see post-mounted lights. Sometimes they're flashing in the summer, and sometimes they're flashing on the weekend. If you see them flashing at an inappropriate time, let us know. We're still tweaking that, but essentially, those are the modern lights that let everyone know that the school is in session. The second phase is the intersection that's under construction now. You might have seen some turn lanes closed up at the shopping center, Portofino's. That is the signal phase. So DelDOT has a very old signal system that's there. It has the wires that go across the street, and the cabinets that are there are very old. We are replacing all of those. We have finished all of the underground work. So if you go out there and you're walking across the crosswalk, you'll see some big whole bases. These are the concrete foundations that are in the ground. That's where the new signals will go. The hope was to have everything done by the end of January. Because of the weather, we're probably looking at end of February, but there'll be the new decorative mast arms, and the wires that are spanning across the road will be removed. So that's phase two. So we're hoping to have that done. Phase three is what's on the screen. That is the railroad improvement. So that goes from the intersection to the railroad crossing. To highlight a couple of the big things that are making changes, if you will. Starting over at the 8th Street side, the access from 8th Street to Ferry Cutoff Delaware Street will be closed. That is something that's been through council before, and it's mainly a safety feature. When the railroad comes in and improves their signals, the railroad signals actually has to be out into where the roadway is today to meet their minimum standards. We've also observed on numerous occasions, traffic sitting on the tracks, making a left turn, waiting to make a left turn into 8th Street, and also people going out in the gap that they leave for the railroad tracks when you're making a right turn out. We don't want people sitting on the tracks. Thankfully, there's been very few incidents that have ever happened here, but we don't want one. So as a result, we're closing that off. That work is also going to be in conjunction with, as you're heading from the 141 side and coming into town, there is today a straight line right into town, going down Delaware Street. We're going to be putting a little bit of what we call a bump out. It's the green object that's on the screen. That will be a green landscape area. So what that will do, we like people who are not aware of the area. A lot of times we got reports that they're coming into the town, getting stuck, especially some delivery drivers that aren't familiar with the area. And then they have to try and turn around on the one-way street system that they're not familiar with. So this will keep people heading up farther up Route 9 in the direction they're going, and still allowing for full access into the city. So that little change was something that was part of the planning council, Will Matthew's recommendations, and we incorporated into this project. As part of both those things, we're going to be improving the sidewalks on both sides of the roads, making new crosswalks and ADA connections. So now there'll be a much better way to walk across that intersection. Right now, even if you go out there, it's a little bit torn up right now, but you would have to go over, 5, 6, 7 feet, just hit the button that's on a pole that's nowhere near the crossing. So this is an improvement that's very important, and it's one of the key parts of this project. The sidewalk on, right now, as you go out there, on the southern side, it has the bollards, the white posts that delineate it. It's going to now be defined by a curb and there'll be a brand new sidewalk. And this will also help take the traffic away from that a little bit. So providing a much safer feel as you walk down into the area. Where 8th Street will be closed, we are going to be putting signs up that direct people to use Tremont and 9th Street and make those turns. We're also going to be putting signs that indicate that it's not going to be through movements. And I think those are the major highlights for the plan that we currently have. I will say the plans are about 95% done. We got our second round of comments back from Norfolk Southern Railroad. They were the ones that were taking a long time for us to coordinate with. They have very minor comments, and we are still coordinating with the city of Newcastle for some of the other nuances within the plans. We will be incorporated in the final set, but what I have a plan set I can show you. They are pretty much done. The alignments are pretty good. And the phasing and the schedule that we're looking at right now. So we still want to try and take advantage of the summer because that's when the schools are closed. There's so many schools around here. That's what we want to minimize the impact to. But we also don't want to get away in the way of Separation Day, July 4th. So we're looking the second half of July to have this work begin and completed in August. Right now, we're looking at 45 days for the work. That schedule may get tweaked a little bit. The only time, unlike when we first started this project, we had a full detour of 273 Ferry Cutoff. We're not closing the main route through. That's going to be done with lane closures as they're doing the paving. That roadway will be open the majority of the time. The only closure that we're going to have is the through movement into town, again, from the 141 direction as we're making that realignment. The detour will direct people to go up and take 6th Street down if you're heading to the northway. But that's the only detour, the only time that we're actually going to be having a posted detour in the area. The rest of the time we'll be able to have all movements, including at the intersection. Most likely the paving will be done at night. And we were still working on that schedule, but it seems like we're going to be doing enough work out there that's going to make this most sense. I think those are the highlights as of right now that I can think of. So kind of pause there and open up.
I guess the only question I have is this project has been delayed and postponed several times. Do you think that the July, August dates are pretty firm this time?
I have a much better feeling this time than I have in the previous. The Norfolk Southern, which is one of the reasons that we had the delay last year, we weren't able to get them on the schedule and they could not commit to doing the work. Like I said, we had their second round of comments. We have the signal design done. So now it's their public projects group and working with them. I will also say that because we're crossing their railroad, they do have to provide flagging and support. And if you've talked with your public works section, getting the railroad flaggers scheduled is difficult. But I think we have enough push now from different sources that we can make that happen. Yes. The funding, I will say, originally it was a $2 million to $2.3 million project. We've done other parts of the work. it's around 1.62 to $2 million right about now. DelDOT has that money. So, and this is, the funding source is the state of Delaware and federal highways.
Madam President.
Yeah, I have a
So,
question.
so will the gateway area, the green area, be actually landscaped, or is it just gonna be grass?
For this project, with the state of Delaware, DelDOT will put in grass. That is an area that the city of Newcastle can put the sign that's out there now, some other landscaping. DelDOT did not want to direct the city of what to be placed in there, but yes, what we're envisioning it would be, and that's why we have it as a gateway area, possibly a sign, possibly landscaping, some other.
Because we have our sign out there now, right? This would be the area we would move it to.
Correct.
Yeah, the last time we spoke about it, we talked about moving the sign and then coming up with some type of plan for landscaping. So as we get closer to completion of the project, we'll definitely work on that.
And further out the island, I assume the island is curved, with the accessible ramps and everything, but I assume that island is all concrete?
Correct. And it's plain concrete. It's not the bricks. There is not going to be much area left to place any of the decorative type, landscaping or brick in there. Yes, it's all concrete.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you, Minister.
Any other questions from council?
A couple too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very timely to think about landscaping. It would be great to put something that's, more self-sustaining and, environmentally friendly. So that's exciting. I love this. I love the signals coming up too, because currently you gotta walk over and press the signal, and all that stuff. So that's good that it's gonna be stage 2. You said some signals gonna be put at Tremont Street and 9th. Is there gonna be no outlet Fremont and 8 as you go there, as well as that plan? I don't see it on the map, but I see here that's cut off here. I'm just curious if there's gonna be, like for people living on the street, obviously they're not gonna know that. So.
Yeah, we're going to be putting signage, not signals.
Yes, the sign, like the sign that says no outlet.
Yes,
So you
and
can
we're going to be directing that.
Um,
And then I will also say that if the city of Newcastle would like some additional signs to what we have in the plans already, we're, amenable to be adding that to the plan. That's one of the things that we wanted to get input from the city.
perfect, thank you. Just to confirm, the time, you can be a politician, by the way, with your responses about timeline. But for the phase 3, so it seems like 6 weeks, is that, mid-July through end of August, is that? 6
That's
weeks?
roughly what we're looking at right now. Last time we looked at doing the schedule, it was roughly 45 days. So if we start the second weekend after July 4th, second week in July, and that takes you to the end of August.
Thank you. So I know this is very difficult to project, so please use political response if you need to. But how long do you think the detour that you mentioned, going from 141 down, to 6 is going to be? Is that, a couple of days, week, I presume in everybody's interest is keep it as short as possible.
I would imagine 2 weeks would probably be the tops on that one. Because once we get the biggest part is removing the existing island. And then once the existing island is, and we set the curve for the new side, we can do work under traffic.
Mhm.
So it's just right now, and you can barely see it on the screen above on your handout, you can see it a little bit better. But the existing island is in the proposed roadway.
Okay.
So that's the part that we have to get rid of, and it's the contractors that we're looking at. They know that time is a big factor, so.
Thank you. That's all I have.
And I will also say that we're continuing to work with the city EMS and the council. So we will be continuing our discussions that we've had already with them, and we'll be fine tuning the details as we go.
Perfect. This might be a question for Antonina, but feel free to jump in. This is my last question. Who is in charge of cleaning that road on Route 9, the emergency road? Is that the state? Is that the city? Because a reason I'm saying that we're making improvements to make it intentional for bikes to go there to be, as you can see, both sides of, Route 9 there, but it's pretty not well maintained, I think. All the reservoirs on those sides there. So what was that, Council Clude?
A lot of debris.
Yeah, a lot of debris, but not really well done for, if you're gonna be on a bicycle, it's not really road that you would use as, you're not going on a Route 9 actually, because, so. Is that a city or is that? That's Delta. Could we reach out to
Yeah, John.
have a more scheduled?
Yeah, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a reporting for locations like that, for bike and ped. If there's a concern, I can pass that along to the planning section and relay.
Thank you.
Thank you, for the presentation. I had a couple questions. In regards to this three-phase project, now, or I guess throughout the history of it, has it included any data analytics on, traffic, through, that area?
When we began the project, we looked at traffic, 2 different times. The first was if we do close 8th Street, what is its effect on traffic? And it did not have a significant negative impact on it. It took people a little bit longer, but the volumes that are on that road, were not.
Has it risen to the level of counting cars?
We did count cars when we did it.
Okay.
So we actually had, when we did the study, we placed 2 counts out there and we had people sitting at all 4 intersections. And we monitor it. And then a year and a half ago or so, we actually had cameras put out so we could observe the traffic movements. And that's when we saw a lot of the traffic pulling onto the tracks and sitting. So we had visions of that. So we've done the studies. If you're asking about a traffic signal on 9th Street, there was at one time in the proposal, we were looking at putting a signal there for many reasons. The first reason was for safety because that was going to be what we call a pre-signal to the railroad tracks. So to keep people, when a train is coming, the signal at Portofino turns red so no cars can go through. Well, we wanted to do the same thing in the opposite direction. So 9th Street was going to be a signal that would turn red whenever the train would come for that reason, and also provide opportunity for the school movements and pedestrian crossings at that intersection. In looking at the school movements, we were not able to accommodate that easily with a signal. You cannot have opposing left turns there, so you have to widen the roadway. And the movements that the school had in talking with the crossing guards, they actually didn't want a signal because it would cause, because of 2 entrances, the location that they have, it was making a 5-legged intersection in essence, and the movements would be not good for them. So the idea of a signal at 9th Street was removed. It also was not warranted when we did the traffic counts instead.
Okay. I'm not sure if it was just the graphic, but I just want to be clear, in regards to the painting or striping of lines, was that inclusive, in the project?
Yes. So all the white lines that you see up there will be done by the contractor, as well as the yellow, double yellow lines in the center of the road.
And in regards to entry into Walgreens or those businesses over there, is entry in there going to be disrupted? And if so, how are we going to mitigate that, communicate that? I say we, the city should have a role in that as well.
I brought up one other point I wanted to bring up too. Yes, I'm envisioning, just like the work that was done out there recently when they put that toll base in, they closed that right turn lane into Portofino Shopping Center. I would envision a similar type of closing would be required at some points when they do the curb ramps, the pedestrian crossings in that area. We do reach out before we get the project started, and we'll also partner with the city of Newcastle to reach out to the property owners. We have reached out to them. We did need to get a signal easement agreement from the property owner, so they are aware of the project, but we'll continue to do so. And just to follow up on the question, one of the other things that we do want to still talk with the city of Newcastle about is when we do close 8th Street, what type of alert that we have for people. We need to do it in advance of the project, how long in advance, and exactly to what message we want to put on there is another thing that we want to work with you, make sure we say the right thing.
Right, and then finally, in regards to the road work, you indicated a lot of it being done at night. Is DelDOT or county police, state police, are you all going to be providing monitoring for the workers, or is that something that's going to be asked upon the city in regards to, cars going through a work zone?
Yeah, as of the work that will be done at night, I envision will be the paving, the overall work on the roadway, the curb lines and other things will be done during the day. When we are doing the nighttime paving, we do have elements in the contract that we'll be contacting with the City of Newcastle Police. That is one of the things that we will be coordinating with them. We have money and funds in the budget, so at the very least, there will be a patrolman out there in the car alerting you.
At the cost of Delta?
It's cost of the project, whether it's Delta or the federal highways, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you for staying with us and answering all these questions. One more thought occurred to me. I'm guessing the answer is no, but just still wanted to ask while you're here. During that time of the year when this project is gonna be going, we have a lot of through traffic for going to the beach, from Memorial Bridge. Is there any potential to put a detour sign to go take 13 through, the Route 1 that way? Or is that not even an option just because of, this being a minor project, I presume, to build that, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like,
Yes, exactly, yeah, and when the project was originally conceived, we actually had a full closure and we sent people to Bolden and, we were gonna be putting a large detour on 295 and Route 40 and getting all the surrounding areas. For this now, because it's scaled back, we don't have the full closure, we are gonna we intend to put some message boards out to alert the people up above. We're not gonna set up any full detour, it's quite an operation to try and detour people around without an actual closure, Delta does not prefer that. We're working with representatives of Jerry Nikiski, if you know him from Delta's Traffic Safety, we're working with him. There is a potential that 295 could have a project going on at the same time, and that's one of those things that we're trying to work through to make sure that we don't overlap.
So for those, my question was really for those 2 weeks where people would go through town, right? Like when the road would be closed, is that when we're hoping, or can we lobby to put detour signs then? I understand 6 weeks is a lot, so that's what I'm saying, for those 2 weeks when we would close the road.
Just to be clear, the road will not be closed for those people that you're talking about. It's only for that through movement into town. A straight line.
Mhm.
That's only one direction.
Okay.
So that's the advantage of this work that we're doing now, that the through movements
So
up and
this one
down.
lane is always gonna be open, I see.
Now, we may have like a temporary lane closures, the turn lanes might be closed while they're doing work, but it's not a detour back.
Okay, well, that's better to know then, because we do have a heavy, traffic on this, like, down Sixth Street a lot, during summer, so thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions from council? Well, Mr. Herman, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate your updating us on this.
Thank you, we're happy to come and we appreciate all the comments back, please, if you know how to get a hold of me, reach out, and we'll be happy to. Thank you.
Okay, so public comments, the usual rules, there's a sign-in sheet on the podium, please, and a pen. Please sign in, each person has 3 minutes, Ms. Zelt runs the timer. Please speak into the microphone, not only to help those in the room here, but it helps in the recording of the meeting. So, anybody have any comments?
Hi, Margot Ray, I live at 115 West 9th Street. My question is for the Del fellow who, I don't know.
Mr. Herman says a question for you from a resident of 9th Street.
Yes.
I know there's, those traffic speed bumps on 8th Street. And now that 8th Street traffic's gonna be going down 9th Street, is there any plans to put similar traffic bumps in there to slow people down?
That street is the city of Newcastle's. DelDOT has no plans to do anything there, and then that would be the responsibility of the city. make improvements to that.
And the one on Eighth is actually a temporary one that we had put in, well, it's been permanent, but it's one you can remove and replace, so we could look at removing that, putting it on 9th Street. But that was ours that we voted on years ago.
I believe the last time we had this release here, we talked about the possibility of that. So we can continue that discussion and look into that.
Thanks.
Be redundant, Happy New Year to everyone. Hopefully it's not only a happy and healthy one, but even prosperous. And of course, Councilman Mataway, for all you do for the city, you're gonna need more kids to fill your shoes. I'm just saying. I want to congratulate all the recipients of the Unsung Hero Award, but again, like I brought up last year, it dilutes it greatly by having everybody that is friends with somebody on council or just somebody that excels in our neighborhood and our town. So once again, I'll strongly recommend that we keep one unsung hero for each category. That's what makes sense. That's what all awards do. So again, just as a suggestion, you might want to change up for next year. Dog park, again, there's been no public anything. There was no public workshop. I've FOIA requested many times, who wants this thing for $80,000-$90,000? It's already over budget. I get periodical updates. So if we have that much money, $13 million, there's plenty of other projects that we can fund. Talking about funding, Councilman Mataway was the one behind getting a public fund for a city that people can contribute to. I'm just a little surprised that none of our money of the 13 million has been placed in there just to solidify and make it a valid, good project. I guess last but not least, being a welcoming and inclusive community, it is to a point, but a lot of people are not included in a lot of the projects. They're actually pushed to not participate. And I just can't fathom it. And last but not least, tonight for the 2026 budget amendment, I think it should be tabled because, as I've said many times, everything on our agenda online should have a link to it online. And 10 years of asking still has not gotten it done.
Good evening. I'm Tish Gallagher from 246 East Second Street. Later in this meeting, you're going to be asked to approve a submission for a grant to educate the public about para and polyfluoroalkyls, also known as PFAs or PFAS. or you might have heard forever chemicals. Mr. Mataway is right to have concerns about these long-lasting and man-made chemicals. There are thousands of them in many different kinds of products that we use on a daily basis. Last fall, during our city health fair, the Board of Health conducted a short survey on what people wanted to learn more about. We offered a list of topics, and PFAS was one of those topics. It didn't get a lot of positive responses, but I helped a few of the more elderly people answer their surveys, and they had no clue what they were even talking about. So I think many of us don't even know what we don't know. So please vote to change for that for our neighbors and friends tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Shirley, I'm the visiting Delaware City Council member. Wanted to express my appreciation to Councilmember Maddow, also visiting our beautiful small sister city, Delaware City, and for being involved in many things that take place in Delaware City, one of which was the Eisner Memorial. Thank you, Brian, for being with us. There have been memorials for officers across the state, which have been stunningly well attended, really giving proper attention to the appreciation that people feel for the role that the police and fire departments play in our life and keeping us all safe and providing a certain stabilization to some things that sometimes happen in our communities that are stunning or shocking. I have a good friend, neighbor, whose son was in the DMV office when the shooting took place and actually observed officer being shot. Their family is undergoing a certain amount. I want to express my appreciation to the Newcastle Fire and Police Departments for attending our memorial service, and also for the role that they play in always being there. We have a loved one who is injured or there are issues that come up. Our police and our fire departments do far, far more than put out fires and stop speeders. They are there in our small communities like extension family members. I knew it was that way in Delaware City. I've come to learn it's very much that way in Newcastle. So as we all begin to face the challenges that are both financial and cultural as things happen that are a part of the growth of our county, just hats off to the folks who are burning the midnight oil, keeping us all safe. And my iPad's down to 2%. Anyway, Delaware City is hitting 200 years old in 2026, and we're trying to figure out how to celebrate that. We started by having a New Year's celebration at Battery Park next to the diving bell, you know, the iron coffin that people used to climb into to go to work on the lock that controlled the water through the C&D Canal. It was midnight. There were 3 or 4 fire pits that people brought. There were celebrations going on. And then the police showed up, and then the fire department showed up. The fire department and the police immediately commenced with their jobs of roasting marshmallows and joining us in the fire. So there will be a myriad of celebration events taking place throughout the year. Absolutely invited to be a part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, council. I'll keep it brief. Thanks for what you do. You guys do put in a lot of hours. fixed fee, so, city has a pretty good deal running with U5. I came to, humbly ask you all to vote no on resolution 2025-53. For starters, I think it's a half measure, and believe it or not, Andrew, I can get the whole page into 3 minutes, but I'm not going to. I need another 30 seconds and then I'm done. It's a half measure that just doesn't go all the way and it doesn't get at the root problem. I salute the chief like I do all the time on everything. It's well intentioned, but it just doesn't get there. And so, like I said, respectfully, please vote no on resolution 2025. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm gonna skip around a lot now because we have a number of these awards and quite a few people were unable to attend due to health or work obligations. I see we have some people here, so we're gonna do the awards for the people who are here first. And then we'll get to the resolution for, your Airman Elizabeth Blanke, because I see we have some of her family here and they may not wish to sit through all the rest of them. And then we'll come back and pick up the rest of the awards for those who weren't here, and then the rest of the items on our agenda. So, just going down the list, the first awardee that I see here is Mr. Reeves. So this is. So I will read the resolution and someone has the folders together. So you're all set. Okay. So, resolution 2026-02, a resolution to award John Reeves the 2025 City of Newcastle Citizen Unsung Hero Award. Whereas in February 2024, the council approved resolution 2024-5, a resolution to create a City of Newcastle Employee, Citizen, and Business Awards for exemplary service, leadership, and civic engagement. And whereas John Reeves continues to volunteer and assist with community events on a daily basis, John is the driving force behind the Saturday Market and plays an integral role in the Newcastle Community Partnership and a Day in Old Newcastle amongst numerous other volunteer roles. And now therefore be it resolved that John Reeves shall be recognized for the 2025 City of Newcastle Unsung Hero Award in recognition of his civic-minded nature and accomplishments through his actions, words, and deeds, furthering the legacy and inherited tradition of the city, and the intricate part in which he plays in enhancing the quality of life of the city's citizens by volunteering and contributing to the building of community and our society through your professional and service-minded endeavors that support humanity. So, Mr. Reeves, if you'll come up, then are you gonna do the presentations? Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations.
The next one who I see here is Dennis Young from Mozart Gallery.
Oh, you can bring your painting.
Yes, okay. So resolution 2026-07, a resolution to award Mozart Gallery for the 2025 City of Newcastle Business Difference Maker Award. Whereas in February 2024, the City Council approved Resolution 2024-5, a resolution to create City of Newcastle Employee, Citizen, and Business Awards for exemplary service, leadership, and civic engagement. And whereas Mozart Gallery is an award-winning gallery that enables residents and visitors to enjoy exceptional art, and whereas Dennis and his gallery continue to be the hub of the Fourth Friday Art Loop, and whereas Dennis coordinates the Diurnal Newcastle Plein Air Contest and is a great ambassador for our city, now therefore be it resolved that Mozart Gallery shall be recognized as the 2025 City of Newcastle Business Difference Maker Award in recognition and acknowledgement that their businesses in the city take up the mantle of being engaged corporate citizens and provide quality service to the community. So congratulations. None of the other awardees are here, so we'll go to.
No, Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, to bring them up. Resolution 2026-09, a resolution to award Bill Smith for the 2025 City of Newcastle Employee Award. Whereas in February 2024, the City Council approved Resolution 2024-5, a resolution to create City of Newcastle Employee, Citizen, and Business Awards for exemplary service, leadership, and civic engagement. And whereas Mr. Smith serves the City of Newcastle as an equipment operator and has worked for the city since April of 2023. And whereas Mr. Smith has exemplified the high standards of our city. And whereas Mr. Smith is always on time and with a great attitude and ready for work. He jumps in to help the entire Public Works crew whenever he sees someone working. And whereas Mr. Smith treats the equipment very well, maintaining not only the function of it, but the cleanliness as well. His sense of humor brightens our day. He puts the city's needs to heart and accepts overtime when it's available. And whereas Mr. Smith has now retired from the city as of December 25, and we thank him for his time and service to the city. Now therefore be it resolved that Bill Smith shall be recognized for the 2025 City of Newcastle Employee Award in recognition and acknowledgement of his willingness to go above and beyond his employment duties to provide exemplary service and selfless leadership to the city, which results in the betterment of the city for all residents, visitors, and stakeholders.
Thank you.
On to the next resolution, you have a vote on the first reading.
Yes, sorry. Is there a motion to approve resolutions 2026-02, 2026 07 and 2026 09, the awards we've just
So
presented.
moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, sorry. Thank you. Okay, and now we'll go to resolution 2026 13, honoring the life and legacy of Senior Airman Elizabeth Johnson.
Evening again, everyone. We have some family members that are with us here and they're delighted to see you. Resolution honoring the life, legacy, and homegoing anniversary of Senior Airman Elizabeth Liz Lonke. Whereas Elizabeth Liz Lonke was born on October 14, 1983 in Newcastle, Delaware. She was raised in faith as a devoted member of St. Peter's Catholic Church, nurtured academically at St. Peter's Catholic School, and shaped in character and teamwork through her participation in Catholic youth organization CYO sports programs. She deeply loved her family and treasured holiday traditions centered on fellowship and the joy of finding the perfect gift for those that she loved. Liz also enjoyed rock music, swimming, and spending time at the beach. And whereas Elizabeth was a proud graduate of Padua Academy, where she rejoiced in solidarity, confidence, and sisterhood during her high school years, she embraced the motto of St. Francis of Assisi, Subitar said earlier, softly but strongly. As affirmed by her classmates who were drawn to her servant leadership, athletic prowess, and infectious personality. Whereas in March 2003, Liz answered the call to service, saying, "Send me, Lord, I'll go," and enlisted in the United States Air Force to stand on the front lines and protect her fellow Americans. She graduated with distinction from the Explosive Ordnance Disposal School in Elgin Air Force Base Naval School in February 2004, excelling in a demanding male-dominated profession and deployed to Iraq on September 27, 2006. Whereas Senior Airman Elizabeth Lonke earned the Bronze Star for her heroic, meritorious achievement and service in a combat zone with valor. Her commanders and colleagues described her as the ultimate troop who saved a lot of lives. And whereas at the age of 23, Senior Airman Elizabeth Lonke made the ultimate sacrifice in service to the United States of America, the state of Delaware, and the city of Newcastle on January 7, 2007. In Iraq, giving her life so that others may live. And whereas on October 12, 2018, a bridge on Route 1 in Dover, Delaware was dedicated to her distinguished honor, recognizing her as a tremendous soldier and even a better person, who exemplified the very best of what we all could hope to be. And whereas on December the 12th, 2025, Elizabeth, stationed with angelic wings, was the first to greet her beloved grandfather, Mr. Walter R. Lonke Jr., as he walked into his eternal reward. Now therefore be it resolved that the city of Newcastle find it appropriate to respectfully acknowledge the life, indelible legacy, and heroism of its native daughter, who purchased some of our freedoms with her life. As we commemorate the 18th anniversary of this tragic event and the 250th birthday of America, land of the free and home of the brave, past this 13th day, January 2026.
Thank you. There a motion to approve this resolution? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll resume with the words for those who were not able to be present tonight. Resolution 2026-01, a resolution to award Dr. Joanne Viola for the 2025 City of Newcastle Citizen Unsung Hero Award. Whereas in February twenty twenty-four, the city council approved resolution twenty twenty-four 5, a resolution to create City of Newcastle employee, citizens, and business awards for exemplary service, leadership, and civic engagement. Whereas Dr. Joanne Viola served the city of Newcastle on the Board of Health from 2022 through 2025. And whereas Dr. Joanne Viola, or Joe Viola, has been a Newcastle gem since 1969, when she moved to the Bricks with her husband, Mr. Carlo Porky Viola. Throughout her life, she lived definition of Christian discipleship that she took from the pew at the Newcastle Presbyterian Church into her home, where she raised her two beloved sons, out into the community through volunteerism by serving on many boards and commissions, and into her own life by proving that learning is lifelong, as she realized her goal of becoming a medical doctor later in life. And whereas we have all had our Dr. Joe stories, of which we are most appreciative, anyone who knows her would attest to her kind-hearted, joyful nature, sweet spirit, and as one who is always willing to put in the work by being on the front lines as she advocated and consulted with patients, neighbors, and seniors. She was particularly instrumental in bringing local practitioners to town and driving Christiana Care's geriatric program. Now therefore be it resolved that Dr. Joanne Viola shall be recognized for the 2025 City of Newcastle Unsung Hero Award in recognition of her civic-minded nature and accomplishments through her actions, words, and deeds, furthering the legacy and inherited traditions of the city, an intricate part in which she plays in enhancing the quality of life of the city's citizens by volunteering and contributing to the building of community and our society through her professional and service-minded endeavors that support humanity. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve resolution 2026-01. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Of course, for those who aren't here tonight, we'll get the awards and plaques to them. Next is resolution 2026-03, a resolution to award fee price for the 2025 City of Newcastle Citizen Unsung Hero Award. Whereas in February 2024, the City Council approved resolution 2024-5, a resolution to create City of Newcastle Employee, Citizen, and Business Awards for exemplary service, leadership, and civic engagement. Whereas Fee Price serves as a volunteer throughout the community and assists with community events on a daily basis. And whereas Fee has worked at establishing and continuing to manage the Saturday market successfully for the past 2 years. And whereas Fee assisted in creating the Saturday market and completing the second successful year of this event. Now therefore be it resolved that Fee Price shall be recognized for the 2025 City of Newcastle Unsung Hero Award in recognition of her civic-minded nature and accomplishments through her actions, words, and deeds, furthering the legacy and inherited tradition of the city and the intricate part in which she plays in enhancing the quality of life of the city's citizens by volunteering and contributing to the building of society through her professional and service-minded endeavors that support humanity. A motion to approve this resolution.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-03.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, thank you. The next one is 2026-24, a resolution to award Heidi Benson for the 2025 City of Newcastle Citizen Unsung Hero Award. Whereas in February 2024, the City Council approved resolution 2024-5, resolution to create City of Newcastle Employee, Citizen, and Business Awards for exemplary service, leadership, and civic engagement. And whereas Heidi Benson has led the city beautification and planting of the many beautiful urns in the community. And whereas Heidi has worked for the past few years, often unrecognized, to ensure that the city looks beautiful, carefully planting arrangements to recognize each season. And now therefore be it resolved that Heidi Benson shall be recognized for the 2025 City of Newcastle Unsung Hero Award in recognition of her civic-minded nature and accomplishments through her actions, words, and deeds, furthering the legacy and inherited tradition of the city, an intricate part in which she plays in enhancing the quality of life of the city's citizens by volunteering and contributing to the building of community and our society through her professional and service-minded endeavors that support humanity. Again, is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Aye. I'm going to combine James and Charlotte Iapolo, which is resolution 2026-05 and 2026-06, since they worked together on this issue. A resolution to award James and Charlotte Iapolo for the 2025 City of Newcastle Citizen Unsung Hero Awards. Whereas in February 2024, the City Council approved resolution 2024-5, a resolution to create City of Newcastle Employee, Citizen, and Business Awards for exemplary service, leadership, and civic engagement. And whereas James and Charlotte Iapolo have established and continue to operate the Second Street Coffee House monthly open mic night, which serves as a showcase for local talent and builds community spirit. And whereas the establishment of the Second Street Coffee House raises money for the Friendship House, a wonderful contribution to the community. And now therefore be it resolved that James and Charlotte Iapolo shall be recognized for the 2025 City of Newcastle Unsung Hero Award in recognition of their civic-minded nature and accomplishments through their actions, words, and deeds, furthering the legacy and inherited traditions of the city and the intricate part in which they play in enhancing the quality of life of the city's citizens by volunteering and contributing to the building of community and our society through their professional and service-minded endeavors that support humanity.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-05 and 2026-06.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-07. 2026-08, a resolution to award Jessup's Tavern for the 2025 City of Newcastle Difference Maker Award. Whereas in February 2024, the City Council approved resolution 2024-5, a resolution to create City of Newcastle Employee, Citizen, and Business Awards for exemplary service, leadership, and civic engagement. And whereas Jessup's Tavern was established by the Day family in 1996 in an over 300-year-old building that was the site of former bars and restaurants. And whereas Jessup's Tavern has become a Newcastle staple and gathering place for many to enjoy food and drink and community. And whereas as its reputation grew, Jessup's became known around the area, drawing many people to Newcastle and helping to promote the City of Newcastle. And whereas Justin Day, the current owner of Jessup's Tavern, has served the community beyond his promotion of Jessup's Tavern, but also the City of Newcastle by serving as a former member of the City of Newcastle Historic Area Commission. And whereas Jessup's Tavern continues its support of the community as a frequent sponsor and contributor for events such as a Day in Old Newcastle and fundraisers for the senior center. Therefore be it resolved that Jessup's Tavern shall be recognized as the 2025 City of Newcastle Business Difference Maker Award and acknowledge that their business in the city has taken up the mantle of being engaged corporate citizens and providing quality service to the community. Is there a resolution or
Motion to
motion?
approve resolution 2026-08. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last one is resolution 2026-10, a resolution to award Dominic Mills for the 2025 City of Newcastle Employee Award. Whereas in February 2024, the City Council approved Resolution 2024-5, a resolution to create City of Newcastle Employee, Citizen, and Business Awards for exemplary service, leadership, and civic engagement. Whereas Detective Corporal Mills serves the City of Newcastle as a detective with the Newcastle City Police Department and has worked for the city since August of 2018. And whereas Detective Corporal Mills works with the FBI Violent Crime Safe Streets Task Force, and whereas Detective Corporal Mills has played a critical role in clearing numerous shootings, robberies, stabbings, sex crimes, a home invasion, a school shooting, and multiple bomb threats, including the farmers market and William Penn incident. And whereas Detective Corporal Mills has been instrumental in the apprehension of multiple homicide suspects, as well as offenders involved in shootings, robberies, and other violent crimes. And whereas Detective Corporal Mills' efforts have contributed to the dismantling of several large-scale drug trafficking organizations distributing dangerous narcotics throughout Newcastle and the surrounding county, resulting in significant drug and firearm seizures. And whereas Detective Corporal Mills has also demonstrated unwavering commitment to protect the most vulnerable members of our communities, leading to the arrest of numerous offenders responsible for crimes against children, including child pornography, rape, and trafficking. His ongoing work in targeting human traffickers across Delaware continues to enhance public safety statewide. And whereas Detective Corporal Mills and the task force have been activated during multiple Amber Alert operations, successfully recovering 3 children and assisting in the recovery of 1 deceased child. The collaboration and shared expertise within the task force serve as a true force multiplier, allowing Newcastle City Police detectives to advance investigations with greater efficiency, coverage, and depth. Detective Mills' professionalism, initiative, and teamwork exemplify the highest standards of law enforcement service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Dominic Mills shall be recognized for the 2025 City of Newcastle Employee Award in recognition and acknowledgement of his willingness to go above and beyond his employment duties to provide exemplary service and selfless leadership to the city, that result in the betterment of the city and all residents, visitors, and stakeholders. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve resolution 2026-10. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, thanks to everyone who received these awards for their contributions to our community.
I just want to let you know, everyone who did receive awards and sorry about to be here, wanted to extend their gratitude to all for their nomination. It's really
Okay, the next item is the second reading motion and possible vote on ordinance 559 to amend the City of Newcastle municipal code regarding the Historic Area Commission membership. Mr. Mattaway, I'm going to ask you to introduce this.
Thank you, Council President. So first, I would like to acknowledge the presence of First State National Park Superintendent Joshua Bowles, who's here. Understanding this is the first time that he's attended, we've been invited to a city meeting. Thank you for your presence. Do I need to read this?
No, we don't need to read it again because this is the second.
Okay.
We just read it by title. So it's just if you have any comments about the rationale behind it.
Okay. Thank you, Council President. So in respect to boards and commissions in the City of Newcastle, protocol has been established to provide expertise and energy to ensure that the best, brightest, and most diverse groups are at the table. For example, the city's Flood Resiliency Committee has a place for the trustees of Newcastle Common and the Goodwill Fire Company. The Planning Commission has a seat for the Goodwill Fire Representative. The Historic Area Commission provides a place for the Planning Commissioner. The Board of Adjustment has our attorney and city engineer on the ready in advisory capacities. The Emergency Planning Committee includes the city administrator, fire, police, and MSC representative. The Tree Advisory Commission has had two advisors on staff, historically, Mr. Lear and Mr. Lukelich. So the people that love history want the same energy and expertise provided to the Historic Area Commission. In respect to some backup documentation and reason and rationale, for those that are listening online and those that are here in the audience, there's some documents that City Council has at their disposal that I'll just briefly go through. So, page 1 of the document of bundle, again, is providing some historical context. So in March 25th, 2013, there was a presidential proclamation by President Barack Obama to establish what we have today in our city. On the second page, he, in his proclamation, says at the top, its sites within the state of Delaware encompass national significant objects. Then if we go to the third page of that proclamation, the third paragraph down, the courthouse and the Newcastle Historic District include the Green, the Sheriff's House, and numerous additional resources from the time of the earliest settlement to the federal area or national historic landmarks. On the following page, it says, whereas at the bottom, whereas it is in the public interest to preserve and protect the objects of historic interest associated with the early settlement of Delaware. And then on the final page of the presidential proclamation, it indicates a warning is hereby given to all unauthorized persons not to appropriate, injure, destroy, or remove any feature of the monument and not to locate or settle upon any of the lands thereof. So this just speaks to the seriousness and the delicate nature of what we have in our city. The next page highlights the mission of the U.S. Department of the Interior, and it reads as follows. The U.S. Department of the Interior protects, manages the nation's natural resources and cultural heritage, provides scientific and other information about those resources, and honors its trust, responsibilities, or special commitments to American Indians, Alaska Natives, Native Hawaiians, and affiliated island communities. So the Department of the Interior, they have a secretary that reports, the secretary, is a secretary cabinet level position. And the National Park Service rolls up to the Department of the Interior. On the following page, in respect to the National Park Service, the middle of the page, it says that we are proud that tribes, local governments, nonprofit organizations, businesses, and individual citizens ask for our help in revitalizing their communities, preserving local history, celebrating local heritage, and creating close-to-home opportunities for kids, families to go outside, be active, and have fun. So they want a relationship, and this is what they do actively throughout the National Park Service communities throughout the country. On the next page, or what they can do, in the next page, it says the National Park Service professionals take our mission on the road by offering advice, technical assistance, recognition, and even cold hard cash to help communities across the country preserve their own history, create close to home recreation opportunities. And then on the following page after that, it indicates that at the top that we value dynamic conversations that enhance public engagement. We're proud to join forces with Indian tribes, state, local governments, nonprofit organizations, private citizens, and other partners to build trails. We have a need for trails in our community, playgrounds, return historic buildings to productive use, revitalize neighborhoods, expand affordable housing, protect watersheds, recognize and promote local history, and introduce next generation to stewardship opportunities and responsibilities. Then on the next page is an excerpt from the City of Newcastle Code, and it's speaking to the Historic Area Commission. It reads as follows. The intent of this section is to safeguard the heritage of the city by protecting and preserving buildings and sites within an area which are represent elements of Newcastle's cultural, social, political, and architectural history, and to promote the educational, cultural, and economic value of the public by maintaining the said area. So what we are charged to do via the code is synonymous with exactly what the Department of the Interior does, vis-a-vis it, and also vis-a-vis the National Park Service. Then, Mr. Antillo, if you could page ahead to page 86. What we're now looking at are direct excerpts from the City of Newcastle's comprehensive plan. This is a comprehensive plan that was signed off by council, the mayor, and went on to signed off by the governor's office. So on page 86, the City of Newcastle has adopted a couple efforts going forward. In the middle of the page, number 2, it says enhance or establish relationships among government programs that impact historic preservation, raising awareness of common goals that support preservation and appropriate treatment, encourage inclusion of historic preservation values as a best practice in landscape and community planning as a means of recognizing the contributions of historic resources to community character and quality of life. And number 5, strive to make best possible information on Delaware's historic resources widely available to agencies, communities, stakeholders, and the general public. And 6, broadly communicate the value of Delaware's historic resources and the means through which they can be preserved. We cannot do that at the optimal level without the assistance of the Department of the Interior and the National Park Service. And then on the following page, page 87, middle of the page, National Register of Historic Places. The register automatically includes all National Historic Landmarks, and that's what we have in our city, is National Historic Landmark. So that's important to understand. Then, on to page 89 of the direct excerpt from the comprehensive plan. The City of Newcastle contains 4 of the state's 13 National Historic Landmarks. I could say that sentence another way. The City of Newcastle contains 30% of the state's National Historic Landmarks. Okay. Many have said that we cannot make strides in in flood resiliency without federal support. Have we walked across the street? The National Park Service, have they been invited to any of our flood resiliency meetings? The National Park Service and the First State National Park, they have a flood contingency plan that we haven't seen, and we haven't invited them to get to the table in regards to what we have going on. Do we think a letter of support from the Department of the Interior or the National Park Service will help our application with the Army Corps of Engineers? Do we think they have existing relationships within the Department of the Interior or others that can help? Then on to the next in regards to the Department of the Interior Climate Adaptation Plan. Again, this speaks to what the Department of the Interior and the National Park Service is doing and actively doing. They have plans, they have created contingencies in regards to their buildings. And we know if their buildings are safeguarded, some of ours and some of our homeowners can be as well. So it's one and the same. And this is just some of the executive summary of a larger document. Page 4 of that says that some of the goals of the report are to understand and assess current and future impacts of climate change on the department assets, missions, operations, and services, prioritize and scale adaptation and resiliency efforts, and build capacity for adaptation within the department's workforce through partnership. Then finally, I was reading earlier from our comprehensive plan, which is a 10-year plan. The National Park Service has a 100-year plan. And we are stewards, and we should be trying to look beyond our moments in time and beyond our lives. And I just think it will benefit the city to further the relationship and to get on board with what the National Park Service is doing. Then next speaks to some current funding opportunities that's going on at the Department of the Interior. Over the next 5 years, the department plans to activate over $345 million to preserve and restore America's most historic places. This next page is a highlight of the 2024 National Park visitor spending effects. And so what is clear is that national parks drive spending. So in 2024, throughout the country, there were 332 million park visitors with an estimated 29 billion of local gateway regional dollars. That's big picture, small picture in regards to First State National Park. Continue on. In 2024, there were 209,000 park visitors to First State National Park. They have the numbers, they have the analytics that we have been looking for, that we've been searching for, and we need to tap into that. Now, First State National Park is not all in the city of Newcastle, but did half of that come through our city? Did a quarter of that come through our city? Where are we and where can we go? The National Park Service, we know, is in many different locations. Unfortunately, when you go to other cities that have national park services like New Bedford and Philadelphia, you see references to places to stay, places to eat, places to shop. When you go to First State National Park, you see neither. Is that because we haven't asked? I think the answer is yes. So this will speak to economic development, business development, et cetera. And in closing, April 15, 2022, beloved Senator Tom Carper said as follows in an article in the Delaware Public Archives. We want to make sure people come to Delaware and know the history. A lot of people come for our beaches. I want to make sure they come for our history. And then finally, the late Russ Smith, in an email, excerpt indicated that his point is that historic resources should be valued and treated as economic resources. I concur with everything that's been stated in the before mentioned. I think that leaning into history is the answer to a lot of our problems, hopes, and wishes for our city now and in the future. Beach erosion is real, and so is the erosion of history. I would ask the council to consider this, and I actually would like to ask if they would consider an amendment to allowing for a voting position by the First State superintendent or designee. He's here, he's going to answer any questions, and this is something in a role that they actively play in other communities. So I thank you.
Comments or discussion with others? We need a motion for your amendment.
I'm not opposed to it, but it seems like it's a substantial change, and I just want to make sure legally we're on solid ground to do that.
Yeah.
This is thinking on your feet time. So you can do that. The challenge, so it's not going to affect the quorum. The quorum is set elsewhere in the section. So you still have a minimum quorum. You'd be adding another voting member. That's the will of council. If there's a concern, it has to do with the even versus odd number. And so I was trying to do it quickly in my head. I think based on the if this position was converted to voting, you would have an even number of voting members.
Right. Bring it up to 6.
It's still possible because in order for a motion to pass, you need a majority of a voting quorum. So even if you have 6, you would need a majority of the quorum, which stays at 3. So I think all of that's to say, thinking out loud, I think you're good if you made that change.
I guess I need to ask the superintendent what you think about changing it from an advisory to a voting role.
I'll go. Play tonight, my projection voice is good. Good evening. Good evening, is that better? Okay. First, thank you for the invitation. There's a lot of friends in the room, all in one place though, that this is where you party. So this is good. And before I address your direct question, Councilman Mataway, your daughter is in for it. My daughter is a freshman at Odessa High School, complaining about citing references for her AP English course. I'll send her your way so that you can demonstrate why background and research is important to make the case. So for me personally, I'm more than happy to work with the city to achieve the city's desired outcomes. The state of Delaware has 2 public land managers that work for the Department of Interior. I am one, and the refuge manager down in Bombay Hook is the other. And Kate, I don't think Kate has an interest in serving, so I certainly do. Whether that is a voting position or not, I would graciously accept either on behalf of the National Park Service. At the end of the day, for better or for worse, I'm trained in Department of Interior bureaucracy. And if my presence at a meeting helps navigate a situation more easily, great. My expertise can help the city make decisions that the city feels are in their own best interest, great. And if that's voting, awesome. And if it's advising, that's equally fantastic. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity to come and, try and help out the city. I can answer any questions. Hopefully we don't get too deep in the Code of Federal Regulations or that sort of thing, so.
Any questions for the superintendent from council?
Do you have more? Well, thank you for being here, and thank you, Councilperson Mataway, for always making sure that context is provided. I agree, I concur that we can learn a lot from Brian here in making our case. This is one of those things when now hearing it all, you're thinking, well, this should have been already incorporated in this commission to begin with. And as this is being presented, I'm thinking we should extend that invite, unless you're already part of this conversation, for our comprehensive plan updates every 5 years, that, as every 10 years we're updating a plan, just because it is a tremendous guidance as we're talking about 100-year plan, 10, 5-year plans. These are things that as a city, we need more eyes and, wisdom for. So I'm just glad that you're willing to be one of those experts in a room that can help guide preservation of this beautiful city that we have here. So I'm open to both advisory or voting role, because it'll be great to just have you as part of the team. Thank you.
I will say that former Councilman Russ Smith, I think, was onto something when he moved to the city. And when he left the superintendency, became a vocal, passionate resident of the city. And so for me personally, it would be kind of an honor to follow in his footsteps that the council so desired. Another note, the position is for the position, not for me. And as of right now, you're stuck with me for a good number of years until my kids at least graduate high school. So this is a vote that will cost you probably 4 years of listening to me until my daughter graduates high school at a minimum. So I'll caution you in that regard.
But I was going to ask you about that. I mean, I didn't know how rapidly the position turns over. You intend to stay, that's great. Future superintendents might not stay that long. And I wondered how that would provide for continuity in a voting member as opposed to an advisory.
That's a very good question. I will say that 2 parks ago, I worked in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Pretty similar template if you've ever been. Cobblestone streets, historic resources. That park was created now 30 years ago and built on that park's charter for the city of New Bedford was a seat on the historic commission. And that seat is transferred from one superintendent to the next without break for the duration of the history of the park. So I can't speak for future people that occupy my chair, but it is the type of work that we do. And we do it regularly. So I would, the odds were a person willing to stay on versus not, I would definitely choose person willing to.
Thank you for the context.
We're making a motion to approve the amendment to make it a voting member.
Wait, we've had it moved by Mr. Matterway. I guess that you didn't formally, you made a motion, so we need a second. Second, and then, so we have a motion on the floor to amend the ordinance 559 to change it from an advisory to a voting member. I guess I have another question for Mr. Hoffman. Since this had to go through the planning commission, does it have to go back to the planning commission with this amendment?
And on that question, I have to take a look, I would like the opportunity to take a look at something briefly. So if we could actually defer this question while I look at this, while council looks at other business and we come back.
Okay.
I would appreciate the extra time.
Okay, sure, that sounds like right now.
Can I ask a additional question, please?
Sure.
Is just wondering about the course, with timeline, in case we have to do like the planning. Could we vote in current, a current resolution without, amendment and then change it to voting, once you figure out the procedure, or basically is this delaying the potentially?
Let me take a look at this because it'll be a package question.
We've had them working in real time. It's fun to watch.
Okay, so we will table this momentarily and move on to the next item while Mr. Hoffman does the research.
If I may, sorry, I didn't stand up earlier because I'm not a citizen of Newcastle. I just wanted to call out Chief there. Your staff and EMS and fire in the city do a wonderful job. And my own personal history, I lost an uncle on duty. And what you and your fellow officers in the state have been dealing with, my personal heart is with you, as is the rest of the staff and the National Park Service. It's difficult times, but it's made easier when you're together. And I just wanted to acknowledge your staff's hard work, as well as the work of the fire department as well.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is ordinance 560 to amend the city of Newcastle municipal code regarding home occupations in the residential R1 district. We did this last month, or perhaps in November, and I guess it was in November. We added the home occupations to the historic residence district. It's already allowed in R2 and R3. And when the planning commission reviewed the ordinance to permit it in the historic residence district, they recommended that we also permit it in the R1 district. Before we get into this too much, I do want to state, some people seem to have had the impression when we talked about it in regards to the historic residence district, that this would allow all kinds of businesses in residential areas. And I want to be clear that that's not the case. A home occupation is specifically defined in section 230-1 of our code, and that section is referenced in this ordinance. It's not that long, and just so people know what we're talking about, I just want to read this. A home occupation is an occupation or a profession which A, is customarily carried on in a dwelling or in a building or other structure accessory to a dwelling, and does not comprise more than 25% of the total floor area of all structures on the lot. B, is owned by a full-time resident of the dwelling unit and shall employ only other full-time residents of the dwelling unit. A home occupation which provides a service that occurs off-site may have additional employees, provided such employees meet and work off-site and are not at the subject residence. C is clearly incidental and secondary to the use of the dwelling for residential purposes. D must maintain the residential character and appearance of the structure. E does not display goods, store stock in trade, or sell commodities on the premises other than goods or products produced in the premises. F does not involve visits by customers to the premises between 9 p.m. and 8 a.m. G does not generate greater traffic volumes or increased traffic hazards than would typically be expected in a residential district. No goods or supplies shall be delivered by commercial vehicles either to or from the premises in connection with the home occupation, except by the United States Postal Service or a commercial delivery service. H does not involve any machining, fabricating, automotive repair, maintenance, painting, or outdoor storage of parts or other materials. In particular, a home occupation includes, but is not limited to, the following: art studio, dressmaking, professional office of a lawyer, engineer, architect, or certified public accountant within a dwelling occupied by the same. However, a home occupation shall not be interpreted to include the following: barbershops and beauty parlors, physician's or dentist's office, automotive repair or maintenance, or restaurants. Now, I do have to add that the R1 zone already permits a physician or dental office with very strict conditions. The physician or dentist has to live in the home, can't employ more than 2 people, I think, as assistants and so on. So it's not, you couldn't have some huge group practice or even a small group practice. It's designed to be the physician who lives in the home. So that's what we're talking about, permitting in the R1 residential area. Is there further discussion from council about this?
Motion to approve ordinance number 560. Second.
All in favor? Oh, wait, no, we need a roll call vote for the ordinance. Ms. Rarick, would you call the roll, please?
Council President Suzanne Souter.
Yes.
Councilperson Joseph Day.
Yes.
Councilperson Andrew Zelt.
Yes.
Councilperson Nerman Zubaka.
Yes.
Councilperson Brian Mataway.
The motion, or the ordinance is adopted.
I'm gonna go back to the, membership.
You ready? Okay, so what have you got for us?
You are clear to proceed. It went to planning commission, even though you are making a change. Once it comes back to you after being reviewed by planning commission, you can amend it, and you don't have to send it back. You can if you want. You have the opportunity to do that, but you're not required.
Good. Okay, so we can go back to ordinance 559. We had a motion and a second to amend it, to change it from a advisory or non-voting member to a voting member of the Historic Area Commission. Can we need to call the roll for the amendment as well?
No, you can do it all in one. You can say motion to approve as amended.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve ordinance 559 as amended? Somebody make it.
So moved.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Worrick, would you call the roll, please?
Council President Suzanne Souter.
Yes.
Councilperson Joseph Day.
Yes.
Councilperson Andrew Zelt.
Yes.
Councilperson Nerman Zubaka.
Yes.
Councilperson Brian Mataway.
Now we have ordinance 561, which is to amend our building code, and I'm going to ask Mr. Day to discuss this one.
Thank you, Madam President. The Ordinance 2025-561 updates the city's building code. The International Code Council promulgates codes every 3 years. The last time the city adopted and updated their codes was in 2018. So we skipped the 2021 cycle, but now we're updating the codes to the 2024 codes. This ordinance will update the building code, the residential code, the swimming pool and spa code, the property maintenance code. It also updates the plumbing, mechanical, and fuel gas codes, all to what the state adopts. So in jurisdictions throughout Delaware, you get to adopt building, residential, swimming pool and spa, and existing building code, but you have to follow the state's plumbing, mechanical, and fuel gas codes. So that's what this ordinance does. There's 2 amendments in this code just to bring out. It does require residential sprinklers for new homes. And in the building code, it requires luminescent markings in stairways of buildings that are 3 or more stories above or below grade. They're the 2 big amendments in this. I'm free to answer questions. The one thing that the ordinance does is when we look at it, there are some changes in numbers for Group E, which is education, and Group I, institutional occupancies. And those amendments are done to align with the state's licensing, childcare licensing, institutional care licensing, so the numbers match up. So we're not doing one thing here and the state's doing another.
And I'm guessing that the latest stair requirement is also new construction.
That's right, that's right.
And I think there was a bit of a discussion earlier about if a house is renovated, do they have to meet this code? And I think you said they have to replace at least 50%.
That's right. When you're renovating 50% or more, that's when the regulations kick in to require additional, hardwired smoke detectors, sprinklers, that type of thing.
So somebody upgrading their kitchen or bath wouldn't have to do that.
That's right. That's right.
I want to just thank Councilperson Day for bringing this in front of us. I personally, am not aware when these codes get updated, so this is great to, as a city to keep up. One question I asked Councilperson Day offline as just a concern which he alleviated, just wanted to share with everybody, so it's part of the conversation, is that, and I think that's just what Joe just alluded a second ago was, hey, are your contractors also aware of these standards? I presume they are because they're licensing, all the time. So we're not really adding any, additional licensure requirements. It's really just everything they're already practicing should be, codified in our city. So just wanted to share that. I'm not saying this wrong.
So you got it right. And just to go a little further, obviously Jeff has reviewed all this. Jeff Bergstrom, our city building code official, and through my job, I've been coordinating with Jeff for years about building codes. So he is aware of all these and supportive of all these changes. So they are consistent with many of the other jurisdictions in the county. We do try and coordinate so that jurisdictions have the same rules for contractors. It makes it a lot easier for the jurisdiction and for the contractor.
Yeah, license would be hard. If you had
Yeah, they had to keep, well, in Newcastle, we do it this way, and in Smyrna, we do it that way, and that would be too crazy.
I had a couple questions. First, I want to thank Councilman Day for bringing this forward. This might be a city administrative question or perhaps Mr. Bergstrom question. Is this communicated through like a building application in any way that like you made the update? Is there anything like that that needs to be done later, or
we could
how does that?
put it out if when people request, we can refer them to the code, which is so they'll just let them know, it's been updated to the 2024 code.
Right. And
So I'm just clarifying. So in other words, if somebody makes an application for a building permit for new construction, they're provided with, we now follow the 2024 version of the international code. And then
I believe it's referenced.
It's referenced, okay.
And I do believe contractors in the city are required to be licensed. So we do have email addresses, which it can be, an update can be emailed to them. Hey, just so you know, we've adopted the newest building codes. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-561. There's no other question. Second.
Okay, Ms. Reed, would you call the roll on this one, please?
Council President Suzanne Souter,
Yes.
Councilperson Joseph Day,
Yes.
Councilperson Andrew Zelt,
Yes.
Councilperson Nerman Zubaka,
Yes.
Councilperson Brian Mataway.
Okay, thank you. For the next item of business is Resolution 2025-53 to restrict parking along both sides of the alley beginning 120 feet east of East Second Street and proceeding in a southwesterly direction approximately 150 feet. Ms. Tangela is going to introduce this, give us the background.
Yes, so, just like last meeting, we had an issue with an alley in a different area in the city, but this alley is very narrow, and doesn't allow for traffic to go through both ways, for traffic to go through if there was a parked vehicle. So we have had some issues in this area, and the police, department has recommended that we also restrict parking along this alley. So that's why we are proposing this resolution, for your approval.
Yeah, what kind of issue do we have?
Well, there are matters of the police department at this time. I can't go into too much depth. But there are issues with people parking there and then other people not being able to get them.
So just to confirm, this allows people to use the street to park in their backyard, because I'm seeing on this picture, all three houses that this impacts seem to have a driveway, but not to park on the street. Is that correct? And I'm seeing the picture that was provided, but it showcases, I don't know if this is patio or driveways, but.
Some may have patios,
Mhm.
some may have driveways, but.
Because I know there's a trustee parking there as well.
Sure,
So I-
yeah. So if you look at this map right here,
Mhm.
this is the alley. This is the end of Chestnut Street. There's parking along here on Chestnut Street, there's parking along this side of Chestnut Street. And then this is the alley where we would like restricted parking. And then this is a trustee parcel with a trustee parking lot where people can park for the trustees. But there's other vehicles parked here that may prevent people leaving this parking lot from getting.
So someone had parked in the parking lot, and then someone comes along later and parks in the alley, the person in the lot may not be able to get out. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can see that as a possibility.
But that hasn't been one of the things that's come up so far.
It may have.
You're not sure, okay.
I think the only thing I want to say, this kind of makes me uncomfortable, just because I know that there's a neighborhood dispute here. It sounds like one neighbor had agreed to some resolution with the police department, one neighbor didn't. I understand this is trying to fix it, but I don't know that this fans the fire or makes it worse, but this doesn't seem like this is the solution. That's just my opinion.
I'm going back and forth to Councilperson Day. I'm almost like enforceability. Obviously, this is very exposed, so this is probably where the rolling happens, throughout the day. So it wouldn't be that difficult to patrol it and, cite potentially. But I also don't know what the current status of this case is. Because this is truthfully what we're trying to address here, that dispute. So I don't know. My other worry is the parking lot that Trust has there for visitors, for residents being, one of those things that's overflown due to the situation. So we're sending 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many cars of these 3 households would now be relying on that parking lot. Maybe all are already using it. I don't know. So I'm not familiar. I walk here a lot with my dog and kids. I just never pay attention to where cars are parked. But I wouldn't like the trustees parking lot to now have even less, available spots for people to come and park there as they come and visit, Old Hill.
Restricting parking on the alley wouldn't impact the number of available spaces, and the number of available spaces is up to the trustees.
But wouldn't the people who are parking on this city road that we're trying to shut off here parked in that parking lot, I'm guessing. I mean, like.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm saying.
In terms of enforcement, my guess is it would be largely complaint driven rather than the police patrolling that alleyway regularly to. If somebody parked, one person parked there and another neighbor saw it, especially given the history, I suspect there'd be a phone call made to the police if the no parking signs went up. But that's just my guess. Ms. Bradway, looks like you have a comment.
Yeah, as everyone knows, I wasn't here last month and I tried to call through the minutes. And it didn't seem like there was any discussion.
No, we deferred it.
I was gonna say that, so, I had to say, I saw that, but wanted to confirm that. I recognize that there was a recent Napa walkable community study, and as everyone knows, parking is an issue in our town. The area, I believe that area is also gonna get the dog park.
No.
This is,
No, up on
No,
the
it's on Stockton Street, right?
Yeah, I mean.
all the way at the other end of Chestnut.
Like here. Not that.
I have not, everyone knows I've been away, but I've never had the opportunity to speak with any residents in the area. I don't know if anyone on council has.
Well, we had one resident come in today, they want us to vote no. What about the other two residents?
Haven't heard from.
I haven't either. I had heard from Mr. Toner earlier, who spoke to us tonight about it.
And this would make it, this would be a permanent, right? Like the ordinance would be, is permanent, or until.
It's a red light.
Until.
Until we revoke today.
If we revoke it.
Sure.
Do we own, as the city own that little,
We maintain.
we maintain or we own?
It's our responsibility to maintain.
It's in the right way.
So sorry, I go back to this issue. So I'm reading the letter that was provided to us earlier, and the trust in their meeting decided that this is this spot that's not city owned, but that's owned by trust. It was public parking. So.
A lot.
I thought that was talking about this
Yeah.
area right here. So then us shutting off the street would not prevent them still from driving up the street and parking there.
So
Okay,
just
so this
restricting
would,
the parking.
this would solve this issue.
Two vehicles can't safely pass. Traveling in the opposite direction, so that's why.
Also, person parking there could park there, but this would secure that they can get out. I see, okay.
But they could use a little bit of the grass to go around, am I right?
What?
They could use a little bit of the grass to go around.
I'm not gonna tell someone to drive on the
Drive
Chestnut
around
grass.
grass, expected, it's rapid, make ruts.
So why all of a sudden now? There's, I guess I'm.
Like I said at the beginning, there were some issues going on. Police recommended this as a potential solution. I'm not saying this is gonna solve world peace, but this is one potential solution that they have looked at and recommended. You don't have to approve it.
So the trust, I just want to clarify, the larger parking lot is trustee owned as well,
One
correct?
side.
The far side away from this area,
The charging stations are far right, trustees.
which,
Far side to trustees, the blue side of this is our.
Charging stations are right, like.
Yeah, that's the trustee, that's trustee.
so as we look at this drawing, the right-hand side is the trustee side and the left-hand side is the city side. Is that
That's right,
correct?
it's not evenly split, trustee side is a little bit bigger, but yes, we own the parking on the left side, they pretty much own the parking on the right side, and almost the majority of it.
Okay. And the trust currently allows anyone who wishes to park on their portion? And then in this other separate smaller lot, they also allow anyone who wishes, they don't have to have a special permit or tag or anything from the trust.
Anthony, I'll be honest, I think that the best route for us to go forward is you meet with the trust president and figure out what is the best solution. Because it's their property and our property here that are both affected.
Yeah.
So, you know, I do not know exactly what's going on. but my guess is one house is parking behind the other house and taking all the parking there. And so then it's a little tit for tat, but for some reason, I just don't think this.
I'm not gonna meet with the trust president, but this is a city issue. The alley is a city issue.
It is the city issue, but that alley only leads to one thing, and that's the trust parking lot.
Well, except
But it's also the rest, behind the residence.
it's behind the residents and they're currently using it for parking. Now, the grass on the side of the alley towards the houses as opposed to the side towards the river, that's their individual properties, correct? So if they chose to drive on their own grass, they could, but then they drive on their neighbor's grass too, right?
You know, rendering that you have here, it's not a grass.
Yeah, most of it is.
Most of, most.
It's on this rendering.
The one I have is with grass, right?
Skip the day.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
You know,
I see that, yeah.
So there's
On
not-
this must be an old,
But that's what I was saying, they can
Yeah,
park
that's
here,
park.
I don't know if this is the parking lot even for them, like, or if it's a gate.
it looks like patio, yeah. And this must be an old Google Earth before the patios went in, because it's green on these things. Okay, that makes a difference. And green on what we're seeing on the screen as well.
So I presume this would just be that easement, I had this in my previous house in Newcastle where you can unload stuff, you know, like, cause we, all neighbors kind of, you know, still park there, but it's really still an easement, so. You know, but we have never had a dispute, so that's why Fifth Street, back where it never came here for council, but that's kind of, you know, my experience with it, you know.
So
It's probably wider than this one.
to your Rick about unloading prompts a question. If we made this no parking, would that mean that if somebody was saying, bringing in some building supplies that they didn't want to take into their house from the Second Street side, could they park there temporarily and offload the stuff from their vehicle and then move the vehicle? So it's not on permanent parking.
If they weren't parked, yeah.
Right, again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, I have not had an opportunity to research this enough to fully understand what is being asked and the tentacles behind it in regards to, as Councilperson Day said, trustees, other neighbors' input, et cetera. So vote yes for this today. I just don't, I'm uncomfortable with, the precedent. Again, I'm happy to receive additional information. Recognizing that parking is an issue in town. And are we gonna do this throughout town?
Well, there aren't many alleys quite this small.
No, but, so in coming off the backs of the WMAPCO study and speaking with some of the people at WMAPCO, indicated that, that restricting parking, should be looked at for traffic and public safety.
Well, I think this is
Right,
considered public
right,
safety.
Right, but what I'm saying is that coming off the WMAPCO study, there are, on Second and Delaware, there are places that, people park, that people walking with strollers, with bikes, et cetera, people can't see them. And so are we gonna do that there? Are we gonna do that along, Old Town Hall on the side of Market Street? Where people try to cross, or there's no parking there too. I think this could become an avalanche. Again, I'm happy to receive additional information. I don't know.
You can always wait till the chief is there.
I do think it's ironic too, that we're talking about restricting parking on a small alley that's really is adjacent to one of the few city parking lots that residents could use. This is clearly just a neighbor dispute, and I don't think neighborhood disputes should, you know, necessarily lead to a legislative solution. The neighborhood dispute has to be resolved. We could do this right now tonight. It's certainly not gonna solve the neighbor's dispute. It's just gonna lead from one thing to another. So I think we gotta get to the root of the problem and figure out really what's wrong with it, instead of trying to have a legislative fix. Because this is just gonna make one person mad and maybe the other person happy, or I don't know, but
I don't know what the answer is.
it doesn't seem like this is.
But the only reason it became a legislative issue is because the neighborhood issue made the police aware that there was, you know, a safety issue with the park. So that was their recommendation.
And I also understand that there was an issue if, let's say, there's a car parked behind, is it 161? And an emergency vehicle needs to get down the alley to one of those other houses and they can't get through because the car's parked. That could be that's a public safety issue.
So maybe able to get here on Second Street.
Well, it depends on the nature of I mean, if there's a fire, they need access from the back, they may need access from the rear of the house. Or if there's an injured person who needs an ambulance, and depending on where they are in the house, and where the doors are in the house, and how they can get the gurneys in and out, I don't know, I don't know the layouts of those homes. But
So if we get trustees who have an issue at that point,
Well, no.
then going on the grass a little bit.
But this isn't trustees' grass,
I know, the other side is,
and this is all bricked in now.
right, but if they hit that a little bit during an emergency situation, or house situations, again, it's most of the time they're gonna be going on Second Street.
Well, and part of the issue is the chief had to leave, and do we want to table this till next month so we can get his input?
I think it makes sense to do that and then for Antonina to reach out to Trust in the meantime, just to see, just to give us a little more insight on it. Because in addition to what Councilperson Day just said, which I agree with, there's also Front Street park, like on street parking for these houses. Like they can not only can they park in a parking lot, they can also park in front of their houses. So I mean, like there's a, you know, like this is kind of, I don't know why.
Looking for these references.
I understand why this is in front of us, because I really don't think Chief would recommend that something like this, if he didn't think, you know, like that the safety is, you know, an issue, but it's just not in the spirit of our city. That's, I think, you know, maybe what Councilperson Day is also saying, that I think we should have 3, 4, 5 houses string next together, agree upon being able to park so that other vehicles, emergency or not, can pass by. I think that's the character of our city should allow for that without it being legislated. Like, as I said, I lived on West Fifth Street for 7, 8 years. We have never had an issue. Obviously, there are people that come in, landscapers and stuff, they'll park there, but you know, like, it's just one of those things where it's immovable objects. You call them, hey, can you move and stuff? So it happens. I'm not gonna call the police about it, but I've never had an issue where somebody parked on an easement. We just always stuck to that and, you know, find a place to park. So that's just kind of
Well, I
what
guess.
my experience as a resident here.
Sounds like your neighbors all got along and these neighbors don't, and that's part of
And that's
it.
what I'm saying, as a character of Newcastle, I don't think it is that we go to Councilperson Matterways and go throughout the city and say, who else has a dispute? So we can, you know, block the
Yeah.
streets and
It's
stuff.
just a shame that, you know, this issue is
Oh,
creating a
absolutely.
safety issue,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
why it's not gonna let.
Could not agree more, but that's why I'm saying additional conversation with Trust could be potentially had about that by the
Okay,
approval or something.
I'll repeat my question.
I'll make a motion to table resolution 2025-53.
Okay, so all in favor of tabling this motion?
Aye.
Okay. All right.
Can I just ask Antonina to reach out to Trust?
I already have their
Okay.
meeting scheduled.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is resolution 26-11, an appointment to the Historic Area Commission. When I read through this, there's a couple of corrections. The first one's fairly simple. The woman's being appointed, Carmela, it has only one L, Carmela, so that's an easy fix. The larger problem is this is a council appointment, not a mayoral appointment. Because Ms. Doak, who this fills, was a council appointment. So in the final whereas clause, it says the mayor has nominated. Can we simply amend that to the council wishes to appoint? The last whereas clause is the only place where it says mayoral, because the title does not say approving the mayor's appointment of, it just says approving the appointment of. But in the the last whereas clause says the mayor has nominated. And this is not a mayoral appointment.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we can simply say, can we just eliminate that one? And then it just becomes, now therefore be it resolved, the city hereby approves and appoints the following person. Yes. Okay, so before, can I just make a motion to move forward, I have to read it, as amended, and then we vote on it as amended?
Right, you just have to add amendment. You can't make the motion, but somebody can make a motion.
Okay, should I read it first? It's with my amendments or without my amendment?
You have to read it without your amendment, and then you'll have.
Okay, resolution 26-11, a resolution approving the appointment of Carmelo Longobardi to the Historic Area Commission. Whereas this Newcastle City Council passed ordinance 505 in part to amend and restate chapter 230-49 through 52 of the Code of the City of Newcastle relating to structure, proceedings, powers and duties of the Historic Area Commission. And whereas the Historic Area Commission shall consist of the following 6 members: an architect licensed in the state of Delaware and having interest and knowledge in the protection, preservation, and restoration of the historic character of the city, appointed by the city council. The architect shall be a non-voting member who shall serve in an advisory capacity only. 2 city residents having municipal privileges as appointed by the city council. 2 city residents having municipal voting privileges appointed by the mayor. A planning commission member appointed by the council. 5, at least 3 voting members shall be residents of and have legal or equitable title to property in the historic district. And whereas there is currently going to be a 1 vacant position on the Historic Area Commission, and whereas the mayor has nominated Carmelo Longobardi to fill the expired term of Lisa Doak, with that term ending on January 10th, 2026. Now therefore be it resolved that the city council hereby approves and confirms the appointment of the following person to the Historic Area Commission. Carmelo Longobardi, Historic Area Commission, term ending January 10th, 2029.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-11 with the amendments to correct her spelling of her name Carmela and to delete the last whereas clause.
Okay, is there a second? All in favor of approving resolution 2026-11 as amended?
Thank you for being here.
Okay, this one's an easy one. It's a first reading, so I'm just going to read it. There will be no discussion, and it will, because it's zoning, it has to go to planning, and then come back to us, so it'll probably be back here for second reading in March. So, ordinance 562, an ordinance to amend the City of Newcastle Municipal Code, Chapter 230, zoning code, regarding Board of Adjustment hearing. Whereas the Council of the City of Newcastle possesses the authority to adopt, amend, modify, or repeal the City of Newcastle Municipal Code, City Code. Whereas Title 22, Section 326 of the Delaware Code obligates municipal board of adjustments to schedule hearings within a, quote, reasonable time, end quote, but does not specify a specific deadline by which a hearing must be held. And whereas the city code's 30-day time frame within which to schedule a board of adjustment hearing is not required under Delaware law and is inherently unreasonable given the required minimum public posting. And whereas the city council has determined that it is in the best interest of the city and its residents to amend the city code to mirror the expectations in the Delaware code concerning the time frame to schedule board of adjustment hearings, and to issue a decision following said hearings. Now therefore making the express finding that the provisions of this ordinance enhance and promote the health, safety, and welfare of the City of Newcastle, be it ordained by the Council of the City of Newcastle as follows. Section 1. City Code, Chapter 230, Zoning Code, Section 230-55B, hearings, appeals. Notice is hereby amended as follows. The Board of Adjustment shall fix a reasonable time for the hearing of appeals, giving public notice as required by Section 230-62 of this chapter, and deleting the phrase "and hold the public hearing within 30 days from the date of the notice of appeal." At the hearing, any party may appear in person or by agent or attorney. The board shall then decide the appeal within a reasonable time, and the phrase "a reasonable time" replaces 45 days from the date of the hearing. Section 2. If any section, subsection, sentence, or clause or phrase of this ordinance is for any reason held to be unconstitutional or invalid, such decision shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Section 3. In the event any existing ordinances or parts of ordinances are in conflict herewith, the provisions of this ordinance shall control. And Section 4, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its adoption by City Council.
Madam President, who's the sponsor? Is that you?
Well,
It wasn't on the agenda, that's why I was asking.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know if the sponsor's name.
Oh, the
isn't on
sponsor's
agenda.
name. It came out of, sort of administrative reasons, so.
Yes, Mike and I recognize the issue, with that 30-day timeline. With the books and the hearing notice, and everyone on the board.
Yeah, I understand, I just didn't know if, I've never seen anything posted on the agenda without a sponsor, or without a.
Sorry, that was just an error.
Nope, you know we do.
Okay, and the final item for tonight is resolution 2026 two more. Resolution 2026-12, a resolution to amend the fiscal year 2026 budget for the city of Newcastle, Delaware for 12 months beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, appropriating money for each item of expenditure therein provided for and for other purposes. Whereas in accordance with Section 18 budget of the City of Newcastle's charter, the City Council reviewed and approved the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget at the June 26, 2025 City Council special meeting. And whereas the City Council has deemed necessary that a revision be made to specify an expenditure of the fiscal year 2026 budget on the Sea Level Rise Task Force line to allow for a special project. And whereas the specification of the expense does not impact the bottom line of the fiscal year 2026 budget. And whereas the Flood Resiliency Committee has proposed a project to create a city program to have a shared purchase of rain barrels that residents can purchase and use to aid the city in flood resiliency. The cost of the rain barrels could be shared 3 ways among the city and the resident. Additionally, the final third of the purchase could optimistically be covered by a grant, as the city has applied for a trustee grant also to support this project. Now therefore it is resolved by the City Council of the City of Newcastle. Section 1. This resolution shall amend the fiscal year 2026 budget for the City of Newcastle for the 12-month period beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026. 1, specifying that $1,000 up to $40,000 allocated for the Sea Level Rise Task Force line be allocated to the shared purchase of 50 rain barrels to aid in flood resiliency. The City Council hereby amends the fiscal year 2026 budget as approved and recommended by the City Administrator and the Finance Officer of the City of Newcastle. This resolution is effective this 13th day of January 2026 for fiscal year 2026 upon its enactment by the Council of the City of Newcastle. I think the 40,000 was allocated with the idea that we would need significant time from the engineer to support work with the brick grant.
Correct.
And then when the brick grant fell through, there was no money. So now we won't need as much engineering time. So we're transferring some of that money.
Correct. We're still optimistic that we will find some other ways to work on this project. But a short-term project that the Flood Resiliency Committee would like to pursue is the purchase of the rain barrels. And I have Mr. and Mrs. Gallagher here who are both on the flood resiliency committee, if you have questions for them. But we would like to offer this as a program for city residents, purchase up to 50 barrels, and then split the cost 3 ways, between us, between the resident, and then we've applied for a trustee grant, which we'll hopefully find out later in the spring whether or not we are awarded, and then move forward with the purchase.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-12.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Just want to make a comment. Thank you for doing this. Can I ask a question? Just curious how the 50, how we'll decide, like, what's the application process and, and I just wanted to say I have additional rain barrel brand new in my house. So if anybody needs one, just please reach out. One came when I knew I left one in the old house and we have one. So happy to, I don't want to waste it obviously because we love ours. So anyways, but just was curious, is there a needs-based application that will be used for this?
I think we would do it on a first come first serve.
Okay.
They would, they can come to the city office, we'll work through that form process. With the flood resilience committee, but first come first serve, whoever comes to the office first would like to purchase it, they can make that purchase.
And if we have a huge demand, we can consider shifting more money if we want to get more of them, or
Right.
putting it in next year's budget, depending on how the timing goes.
Exactly.
Okay, now the last item. Resolution 2026-13. Resolution to support the application of the Delaware PFAS Awareness Outreach Grant. Whereas the Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control, DNREC, and the Delaware Department of Health and Social Services, DHSS, have created a Delaware PFAS Awareness Grant to provide financial support for educational and community outreach projects aimed at increasing public awareness of PFAS and empower Delawareans to take action to protect their health and the environment. And whereas the goal of the grant project is to educate Delawareans about what PFAS are, where they are found in the environment, their potential health risks, and how individuals can reduce exposure to these substances, ultimately empowering residents to make informed decisions about their health and safety. The grant projects can be focused on 1, environmental and natural resource research and development, or 2, community environmental justice and equity. Whereas the City of Newcastle residents would greatly benefit from learning more about the impact of PFAS, where they are found, etc. And whereas the city will apply for the Delaware PFAS Awareness and Outreach Grant to ensure the City of Newcastle stakeholders are educated on the effects of PFAS and are provided the tools and knowledge to make educated decisions about where PFAS are found and how it can affect them. And whereas the city administrator will serve as the project manager of the project, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Newcastle hereby resolves that the City Council supports the application for a PFAS Awareness Outreach Grant as described above and support the city administrator in the application process. I'll just say that I was in town when PFAS were discovered in our drinking water, and there was a great deal of publicity about it at that time, but that was 25, 30 years ago. And so I'm sure that there are many people who have forgotten or never knew because they've come to town since then. I'll also say from attending meetings at the Delaware League of Local Governments, I know that Newcastle is miles ahead of other towns in dealing with this, because some towns, when it was pointed out to them that there were PFAS in their water, their response was, what are PFAS? So I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, so Councilman Matterway and I are working on this project, and that is a great point. MSC has really done a great job to eliminate PFAS from our water here, but this just continues to educate the public on what PFAS are and how we can protect against them. Feel free to add.
Thank you, Council President and City Administrator. This is exactly right. The pretext to this is that in November, I come across this and listened to a webinar. This is a joint effort from DNREC and the Department of Health Services in respect to monies that were awarded to the state to the lawsuits. And the state did a statewide survey in found that so many different people just weren't even aware of PFAS, as Council President indicated. And additionally, people kind of just exclusively associated with water. The PFAS is in paint, PFAS is in non-sticking surfaces that go on cooking ware, things of that nature, et cetera. PFAS actually also decreases the effectiveness of vaccinations, particularly in respect to young people. And this came about with the application's competitive grant. There is no match here, so it's, you know, if you get ask for 20,000, you get 20,000. There is no component to the match. And within the application, it made reference to a resolution, and because it's a competitive grant, we felt that the city's leadership being behind this would better suit the city's act.
Any further comments or discussion?
I'll just add a comment. I want to thank Councilperson Madeline and Antonina and our health board on pursuing this. Since my kids were born in 2021, we have changed, you know, we have done a lot of research on this and changed every cup to be metal cup in our house for the kids, no plastic cups or standard Tupperware using glass. So like we have taken this, you know, personally, seriously, just because of a lot of these long-term diseases identified with these, you know, plastics and then, you know, products that are, you know, created with these chemicals. So I do encourage, because knowledge is power. So I know awareness doesn't solve the problem, but it's necessary for people to start changing their habits around, you know, maybe more costly to get a glass Tupperware, but it might, you know, extend or reduce, you know, sicknesses or things like that. So thank you guys. Only thing I would just suggest is, as I'm reading more and more about food, if we can look into universities around us or even the State Department of Services, whoever is out for maybe some healthy food awareness campaign. As well, there's a lot of food that in Europe or other countries is not considered food that we eat here. So just to kind of get that, you know, shine a light on that as well, so that we have, you know, we're talking about recreation for our folks, we're talking about mental health, but also, you know, like it all starts and, you know, ends with water and food. So it's creating that environment for our residents. So that would be great if we can look into that. I'm happy to look into that as well and suggest some resources. Thanks.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2026-13?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you all.
Sorry.
No worries. Very sensitive. Why I'm here. Otherwise, I'm just about.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's Monday.
Yeah, Friday, it was like, we're all the same. So we got those 6.